Well, the world that I work in, and I work in digital marketing, is full of buzzwords, right? There's buzzwords flying around all the time, new buzzwords almost every day. And the funny thing is, they appear as quickly as they disappear. But there has been one particular buzzword which has been sticking around for much longer. In fact, one buzzword has been sticking around for almost 10 years now. And the buzzword that I'm talking of is Web 2.0. Now, what does it mean? What is the Web 2.0? The Web 2.0, when the internet was new, the web was merely just a collection of websites where people would go and retrieve information. Now, with Web 2.0, the internet has become more of a participative medium where people can understand and interact with the content as well. Now, why is this so significant? What's so special about this, and why does this buzzword seem to be sticking around much longer than the others? And in order to understand that, we have to look at the history of human communication. Human communication has gone through 4 very big steps so far. Now, in every single step it has gone through, the way that we share ideas and the way that we share thoughts has changed in a dramatic way. And let me start with the very first stage. The very first stage was around 400,000 years ago. Now, imagine yourself being somewhere in the wilderness of Europe, and you are a hunter, right? So you have just come up with a great new idea how to hunt buffaloes. You want to share this idea, but you can't share this idea because you are missing one crucial tool, and that is human language. Without human language, you can't have ideas shared with other people. So that was also around this time, 400,000 years ago, approximately, when human came up with language. And that was the first time that people and individuals can share thoughts and ideas between each other. That was the very first stage. But it doesn't address a very crucial other point, which is if you have an oral culture where people just have ideas shared between them by telling the stories, you can only keep that knowledge by actually repeating this and repeating the stories over and over again. So the problem of storing ideas and thoughts hasn't been addressed yet. This happened in the second stage. Thousands and thousands of years later was the second stage where people started to store ideas. So from what we know, there was somebody around 40,000 years ago who used charcoal and ochre to paint a drawing of a buffalo hunt inside a cave in northern Spain. This cave is called El Castillo, and this is the oldest recording that we have so far where people have started painting on walls. So this is the first time where people have actually stored ideas and thoughts. Now, if you think about it, painting is not much different. A painting turns into hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs turn into characters and letters and writing. So a painting and writing is almost the same thing. It's like storing knowledge. It's like storing knowledge just on a different layer of abstraction. So first, in the first stage, we had the sharing through language. In the second stage, we had storing through painting and writing. We still have a problem now. We can't address a lot of people. So this was the third stage of communication. That was when in the 1400s, Johann Gutenberg came up with the idea of printing. So printing, for the first time, allowed people to actually spread the thoughts on a large scale. So if you had an idea, you would then what happened. It not only allowed to spread it, but it also allowed it to multiply it in a large way. So if you are a scientist, it had a huge impact on science, for example, where people would then be able to spread their thoughts, and other people would be able to build on top other people's ideas. Now, let's think also about radio and TV. How is that different from printing? It's actually not much different to printing because it's still a few-to-many communication. It is still in one direction only. And human communication is supposed to be, or is meant to be, in both ways. It's always a dialogue. So we are now going through the fourth step of communication, right? And that's the introduction of the internet. More precisely, the introduction of Web 2.0. That means through the internet, in the fourth stage, for the first time in human history, people are able not only to retrieve information, but actually to have a large audience as well. And on top of that, you can actually create a dialogue between different people in a mass medium. So this is a very new thing. In fact, I think the internet revolution is even bigger than printing and writing, because it takes back the idea of the dialogue in both ways, the many-to-many communication. So if you think about Wikipedia, YouTube, or Twitter, for example, they are all very recent projects, less than 10 years old. But it's the first time in human history where an audience actually has the possibility and the means to participate in a mass media. Right? So we have those 4 steps. We have 400,000 years ago, we had language, which allowed to exchange thought. We had around 40,000 years ago, we had writing and painting to store the thoughts. Around 600 years ago, we had printing to multiply and distribute thoughts. And only like 10 years ago, we had the internet, which turned the mass medium into a dialogue. So the obvious question is now, what's going to be step number 5? What's going to be stage 5? And this is very interesting because, in my opinion, stage 5 is as soon as computers and machines are able to pick up human language. So why is that? If you think that today's internet, there are more Chinese people on the internet than Americans, and we face a new problem because we don't really, or most of us don't really have access to their thoughts and ideas, simply because we don't understand the language. But if we could train computers to understand human language, we could also train them to actually translate automatically and instantly between human languages. So I think this would be a huge other revolution, and this could happen as soon as in 5 years if we keep that pace. And that would be the first time in human history where we can truly break through the language barrier. Now, think about it. What if you could speak the world's 6,800 languages all at the same time? Wouldn't that make us truly superhuman?